wasn't aware. Hello! We are back. We are back.
What's up, my people, my people? It's your boy Damien here. Got my girl Jackie here. Of course, this is the couch where your mental health matters. So can we talk for a minute? And today we got a good topic going on.
My bad.
Of course, we got Jackie with the playback going on. But again, like I said in my video today, I was really looking forward to this particular topic because it's something that everybody is kind of dealing with. And we have some opinions. You know, I'm looking forward to seeing some of the comments, some of the dialogue we're going to have today because it's going to get kind of hot in here, I must say.
Hotter than normal?
Hotter than normal. I may ruffle some feathers. I don't care. The opinions expressed on the couch by Damien
Are that of Damien and Damien alone.
Absolutely. So if you agree, you can put the thumbs up, hearts, whatever you want to do. If you don't agree, you can put the frown face.
Or you can make your comments, which, you know, our group tends to do anyway.
Yeah, of course. We engage with each other. We talk to y'all, y'all talk to us, y'all talk to each other.
This is an exciting topic, though.
This is how, this is how we gonna do it today. It's just a little bit, the weather, I don't know what it is, but today I'm
It's
feeling
seasonal affective disorder.
I'm feeling kind of crunk today.
Seasonal affective disorder is a real diagnosis in the DSM at this point in time, ladies and gentlemen. It is basically presenting like symptoms of depression, however, it's due to the change in weather.
Okay. But I don't think...
Are you not aware of this?
Yes, I'm very aware of pretty much every diagnosis.
I know you won't own up to not being aware of anything. So that was a trick question. We all know Damien's aware, so we don't have to go back and forth about that.
Very much aware. So before we get started, definitely make sure that you like and share this video. Make sure that you tag some people in it that may be going through some of these issues and may have some questions. So definitely like and share. We want to help you, help yourself.
Okay.
Help me, help you. That's usually my motto in my therapy sessions. You know, help me, help you. All right, so definitely when you guys get on here, come on in, family. You know, kick your feet up. Let's relax a little bit. It's cold outside. It's dreary. So come, you might as well come up on the couch and just have some fun with us today.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
So today, we're talking about...
platonic relationships.
No, not just necessarily platonic, but relationships
between men and women.
Between men and women, and the question that I posed was, can men and women
be friends?
Be friends organically, platonically.
What does organically mean? I mean, because
meaning that you have like minds, you have similar interests. There's no underlining sexual attraction.
Okay, yeah, needing to be met.
Right, in order to maintain this
friendship.
Right. Exactly.
Understood. Okay. So can men and women be friends? All right.
What do y'all think? And as we're talking about this, I would love to hear you guys' comments on it. I posted it on our page. I posted it on my personal page. Jackie posted it on hers. I really would like to hear or see or read you guys' comments on that particular question. And you can tell me why not. And we're going to get into the dialogue.
Yes, we are.
About our different points. Now I
forgot my music.
We may, you know, agree on some things. Some things we're not going to agree.
I'm assuming we're not going to agree on.
And it's okay. Just like we had last. It's okay, Jackie. If I don't agree with your viewpoint, it's okay.
I let it go.
I love you anyway.
Oh.
And that's one of those relationships that we're gonna. So I played that song in the background during the first video because it's important to understand that there are different levels to relationships.
Right.
If you've gotten in contact with someone, or you communicate with someone, or you've established this likeness with someone, there's a level in which you have a relationship with that person. Now, before we get into the juicy stuff, we're going to actually talk about those different levels of a relationship.
Okay, let's go.
So the first one is that casual relationship. So casual meaning person that you may have seen several times, and it's just like, hey, how you doing? They don't know a whole lot about you. They may know your name.
Kind of everyday work relationships almost, and people on the street that you see on public transportation and stuff.
Yeah, just people that, let's say if you take public transportation, you see the same person every day, and you really haven't had a conversation with them. You've seen this person, you've spoken to them, you've said hello. You may have asked them how their day is going. You know, that's a casual relationship. There's no emotion, or did I say casual? But an acquaintance. I'm sorry, guys. I can mess
Scratch
up.
all that. So that's an acquaintance, the person that you run into on the train that you see every day that you don't have a conversation with.
Right.
An acquaintance.
Right, exactly. There's no real introduction. It's just like, hey, how you doing?
All right.
I've seen you before. I know you work at this particular place, but we've never been formally introduced.
Okay.
We have a lot of those. I know I do. And sometimes it may be an actual next level relationship, which is the casual relationship.
All right.
I may have an actual casual relationship with someone and don't remember their name.
Explain what a casual relationship is so they know. Because they need to be able to kind of...
Casual relationship, layman terms, you have similar interests. Just to say, like, you like to paint. So you may see this particular person at some of your paint events. You may not know them in detail. You may not know whether they're single, married, whether they got kids, or you just know that you guys have a similar interest in art.
Okay, so that's where it leads to you develop a freedom at some point to be able to ask the personal questions. There it is. All right. So the acquaintance is the high and by person. The casual relationship is the person that you don't really have a foundation of a relationship with, but you may have similar interests and things that you can speak about that may lead to freedom in discussion later.
Right.
Okay,
Absolutely.
you may be able to develop that with later. Okay, what's next? What? I'm keeping us on task.
So the next one is, of course, close relationships. Close relationships could be colleagues, co-workers, you know, friends that you know of.
Okay.
High school classmates, things like that you may know. You know them by name. You know their last name. You know something about them, that they were involved in football, or they were, you know, SGA president or something like that. You know of them, but there's not this emotional bond that you have with this person. You're close because you may have hung out with this person before. Y'all may have met at the bar, something as a group, something like that. Y'all may have had a few conversations over the phone, things like that.
Okay, but you're not sharing deep information. So that's a close friendship. Okay, what's next?
And the final one is intimate relationship.
Okay, intimate relationships.
So
the person you're dating.
Intimate relationships can be the person that you're dating.
People at church.
That could be someone at church. It could be family members. These types of people and these types of relationships, you have a emotional connection to. There's a place in that relationship for vulnerability.
Okay.
If you're having a bad day, you can actually call this person and actually vent to this person, and they reciprocate. There's some type of connection.
An intimate friendship. Okay, let's just talk about that. I think it's very interesting that it's called an intimate friendship, and it can be used to describe any of those relationships. Because, you know, when you start dating somebody and sometimes you wind up going through, because of who you're going to be around, who you used to date and whatever, you never really describe them as, hey, this is Tasha, an intimate relationship that I used to have. It doesn't mean that, you understand what I'm saying, right? It doesn't mean you dated Tasha.
Right.
It just means that there's a level of intimacy there. I think people don't want to use the word intimate.
Why?
Because
intimate,
I don't have a problem with it.
That just means closeness.
Well, a lot of people, come on, let's be clear. A lot of people who are a little more ignorant to the meanings behind all these words associate it with sex. So when you use the word intimate, a lot of us, it has the connotation of sex.
Right.
Okay, so a lot of us stay away from the word intimate.
So intimate means those particular things. You love this person for who they are. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be romantically involved with this person, but you love them for who they are. You show compassion towards this person. You have the freedom to be yourself around this person with no judgment.
Okay.
All these things lead up to you being intimate and vulnerable with this person.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And intimacy could lead to romantic or romance if it's on the table, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean that we're going to become sexually intimate with each other just because we're in an intimate relationship.
That was very harsh.
but there's an understanding that is developed in an intimate relationship, and when you get to know someone, you're going through all these different levels. When you first see somebody, you see him at the club or something, you're like, oh, he cute, and you just, he's striking, and then that's that acquaintance part. Then the close relationship is when you get the number and y'all are going back and forth, and then you start to divulge some information so it becomes a little bit closer, and then ultimately, hopefully, it becomes into an intimate relationship where you actually feel love for this person. And it may lead to some sex, it may lead to, a lot of other things. Hopefully, marriage, relationship, all that good stuff for those who believe in marriage.
And more often than not, it doesn't. Sometimes it stops right there at step number 2.
And that's an important thing to recognize and to bring up, is that not every relationship that you involve yourself with are going to lead to that intimate level. It's not. Some people are just in your life just to be an acquaintance.
Wait, some of you are on an intimate level with some people, but they are not on an intimate level with you, right? Some of you are like, yeah, and we're such good friends, and we talk about this and talk about that, and really, in reality, that person is describing you as an acquaintance.
Right.
I think that's also something as human beings.
We hang out, we grab some drinks, we go to the movies. That's about it. There's no divulging of personal information, how I grew up, things that have hurt me in the past, or the baggage, quote unquote, that I come along with in an intimate relationship. We don't even
it's one-sided. Or it's one-sided.
Absolutely.
And a lot of women are talking about themselves so much that they never notice. And this is how you wind up in love with someone who describes you as somebody he's just spending time with. So, a mutual understanding of the level of the relationship is important too. Also in just normal, everyday, same-sex friendships.
Right.
Especially, I know women, I'm just going to speak on my own gender. We do it a lot. Where it's almost like, we want a best friend, a best friend, a best friend. Since we're little girls, it's like, that's my best friend. And now there's, that it might be BFF. I mean, you can't have 5 of them. I mean, it's like,
Can you?
Well, you can, but they don't always describe you the same way.
Right.
I mean, this is,
Does it have to be mutual in order for it to actually be an intimate relationship? Can you have an intimate relationship with someone and they only have a close relationship with you?
Yes, but I feel like it only continues to work out for all parties when there's an understanding of where everyone is mentally.
Right.
And this is how I know a lot of my friends and a lot of us, I would say in the Black community, a lot of mothers get into fights with their friends about who's going to be the godmother and all this and that of their children. Because you have an understanding of your closeness and the level of intimacy with one of your girlfriends.
Right.
But she doesn't see that with you, and you're expecting this from her because of your level of intimacy. Right. But she's saying, well, there's someone else I'm got a higher level of intimacy with, and then we wind up comparing and contrasting. And that's where people's mental health starts to plummet, because that's also another realm in life where we can't help but a lot of times comparing ourselves. Right. What about the men when they choose the best man? Sometimes that happens. Maybe more often it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
More often than not, that really doesn't happen. Most times we just
let it go.
We just let it go.
Women don't.
Some guys can be emotional.
Your girlfriend will boycott your wedding real quick. I can't afford a dress anyway. And since I can't be the maid of honor like I thought I was going to be, y'all don't act all high and mighty like you haven't done that. Now, fortunately for me, I've only been invited to stand really in one wedding, and I was at that wedding. Marisha, yeah, I was there. Okay, so there's that. But since then, I haven't had to deal with all that stuff. But I like to sit in the pews watching the show.
Okay.
I like to see who's missing. I sit in the pews with my popcorn. Oh, there's, junior bridesmaid number 3 is missing. Oh, yeah, she got pissed off at the bridal shower. But this happens all the time with women. All the time.
We're not going through all that.
A misunderstanding of level of intimacy, and then, like you said, there can be a level of intimacy. You could be at different levels, but not coming to grips with where you really stand with a friendship.
Right. So that conversation and those 4 levels of relationships leads to the actual topic of discussion, and I guess that's what we're going to get into. And I'm going to pose this question for my people that's actually watching, my people that's listening. I want you to kind of think about this as well. Can men and women have an actual relationship outside of, let's just say they're in a relationship? Is it okay to have opposite sex relationships outside of your
Is it okay?
Yes.
I would say yeah.
Okay. Is it if you have an attraction towards that person, is it okay to still have that relationship?
Ooh, Fabiola said nope. Okay.
I want to know why. If you gonna say
Fabiola,
no
come
or
on.
yes,
You need to back it up. So tell us why now.
No one word answers.
Why is it not okay to have male-female relationships with the opposite sex when you're in a committed relationship? Tell us, Fab. We want to know.
So
Candace said no. Wait, she said yes, then she said no. Candace, you can't be on both sides.
Come on, sis. Like
you gotta pick a side. You can't play for both teams.
So my thing is, and I think I had posted a video. I saw this commercial, right, the other night, and it was talking about being put in a box.
Okay. And
I forgot the name of the company. If you go on my page, you can actually see the actual video. But it says that the conditioning that we have, we pretty much we're born, we're placed in a box. When the baby's born, they put in a box. Mm-hmm. When they're growing up, you play in a playpen. That's a box. When you get outside, when you're able to actually walk and play, you're in a playpen. You're in a sandbox. We're conditioned to be in boxes. We're conditioned to be in boxes. You know what I'm saying? When you die, you get put in a box. Even when you dead, you get put in a box. Mm-hmm. So I don't like being placed in a box. I don't like labels. I stress the importance of communication and understanding that love carries on all those different levels. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Of relationships. We can have a casual encounter and I can tell you that I love you. Just because I love human beings. We can have a close relationship. We can have an intimate relationship. And that love is still love. Okay. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a different level of love, but there's still love.
Okay, so can I read Fab's comment?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so Fab said, because men initially develop relationships with women based on sexual attraction. Even if it may become platonic, there is always something there. Okay,
I get that.
What's your comment on that? Because
my comment on that is that does happen. Yes. And we talked about that prior to starting the actual conversation, prior to the live.
Yes, we did.
Is, most times, and I had to come to this realization, is that when we're growing up, right? Mm-hmm. Teenagers, we start feeling ourselves, the hormone starts raging, all those things. We don't understand, we don't have a sense of self, and the only thing that we feel like we can give the opposite sex is sex.
Right.
So
that's how boys are conditioned.
Going off of that premise and that conditioning, that's the first thing that we're going at. We're not thinking about, whoa, like this woman or this girl is just dope. I love her personality. I don't see anything sexual in nature in this person, but it's just our hormones are going, and that's what we see. We see sex because that's what we feel like we can only offer is sex. So partially, you're right in that particular instance, but once you grow up and you mature
Right.
You understand that colleagues, and I'm in a field where it's 90% women, if not more. So I'm not going to be attracted to every single person that I come in contact with or I develop a relationship with in my field of
work,
expertise or work. It's just that we're around each other. I have to engage in dialogue with this person. I have to engage in some type of relationship. Doesn't mean that I'm attracted to them or I want to have sex with them. It's just that we're in close quarters. And when you're in close quarters with someone long enough, you're going to develop a relationship because we have similar interests. So on that end, I disagree with her statement that it's primarily is based on we have this attraction towards you, this sexual energy, and we want to try it, and then we fail. We done shot our shot, and it got rejected. So now we're like, okay, the next best thing is just for us to be friends.
Look,
because I still want you in my life, just in hopes that one day you change your mind. And then
boom. A lot of people believe that
you know
your male friends are in your life with the hope, thought, and prayers that when your real dude messes up, they can slide in. Now, let me just say this. I agree to a certain extent and then I disagree, right? So I agree that a lot of the times as adults when you're meeting males, right, that the places, where can you meet them? Where can you meet them? You don't just meet people on the side of the street and become friends. You have to develop, there has to be some attraction, right, to even want to converse with them. Is that not true? I mean, so it doesn't have to lead to a complete sexual attraction, but you've got to feel appeased enough by someone's presence. Something about a man's aesthetics. I mean, y'all can, come on, women. I mean, the women really need to comment. Something about a man's aesthetics draws us to even want to have an initial, hello, how are you doing conversation. Or we'll cut your tail right there. We'll cut you right at the knees. Kind of like, okay, yeah, nice to meet you, bye. And then we're out of there. But if there's something aesthetically drawing us, I think whether you're married or not married, whether you're at the grocery store, the beauty counter, whatever, whoever is there, even a woman is drawn by another woman who aesthetically presents herself a certain way and brings her personality delivered a certain way. So we have to be honest with what humans are drawn to start with, right?
Just from a visual standpoint.
From a visual standpoint, from aesthetics alone. Let me just say this. I feel like this will cause a lot of controversy probably. But let me make this statement about
that's what we're here for today.
What I feel is if I went based on that assumption, I would never have male friends because I would just assume all of them wanted to sleep with me.
Absolutely.
And I had to cut them all out of my life. But let me tell you, I've had friends who, at one point in the beginning, they may have expressed some type of attraction, and 8 years later, we have never had romantic situations spurs out of that. They're the most dependable people in my life because the line was drawn. So oftentimes, hey, this hasn't affected me gravely or my relationships in a toxic way because the line was drawn and there was an understanding. Now, when the line is drawn and there is no real understanding, that can cause serious problems with having a friendship with the opposite sex, right? But if there's been an understanding and we've come to a conclusion, just like we talked with the other levels of relationships about where we both are, there's nothing else to talk about.
Absolutely.
And then it's up to you to decide at some point later if you want to push an issue or keep it to yourself. But I also will say that a lot of people probably keep their real feelings to themselves to preserve the friendships. Because you don't just come across an opposite sex friendship often with someone you can trust, confide in, and share your intimate feelings and thoughts with.
And just to add to that, I think it really depends on your status and your position. For example, I would say just this platform, I have to converse. I have to meet people. I have to.
Let's not even get into this. I can't wait till we get into this.
Just have to engage with people
based on what we're doing.
Based on what we're doing. It may be a woman. It may be a man. It may require going to dinner or having lunch just to politic and seeing what can I get from this person or this relationship. How can I benefit from this relationship? It doesn't necessarily always have to be sex. If I know this person could catapult me in a certain direction, why not develop that relationship? That could be a close relationship. It doesn't have to lead to sex. If she just so happened to be attractive, that I'm not blind.
You know what? That leads me to something because let's jump into something. So, all right. So on the heels of what you've said, let me just talk freely as a woman.
Yeah, talk freely. That's what we're doing.
Sometimes it's not that we have such an issue with the man with our man being friends with another woman. Sometimes it's the level of intimacy that we know our man may have with that woman that may feel threatening depending on where we are in our intimate relationship with that man.
And that's the correlation that we're bringing.
And then it becomes an issue.
The mental health part of it. Everything that we talk about is regarding mental health. So even if we're talking about relationships,
it all affects
it all
emotions,
affects,
thoughts, feelings, behaviors.
Absolutely. So the psychology and the thought process of one that's in a relationship and you're feeling some type of way that your guy is having lunch with this beautiful woman, you know, we're talking about security, we're talking about jealousy, and it's okay to feel jealous. Like it's okay.
It also has to do with what we feel about ourselves, right? Like if y'all are trying to get to the gym and you can't really find the time, and then you know his favorite platonic female friend goes to the gym and she works out and she's fit and she can wear tight stuff and she's not bloated and she can eat and not be self-conscious.
So I mean, like does that?
You don't understand what I'm saying?
Just in that situation or that example, does that affect your relationship? Like
clearly, I'm airing out my dirty laundry. I have completely pulled off the mask.
So what I'm saying is like. My whole premise and my whole thought process, and this may be off to the left a little bit, but you can't be everything, or you know what I'm saying. You can't be everything to one person in a relationship. Like most people be like, "Well, she's my everything," or "He's my everything." That's impossible.
Yeah, what does it mean when people say that? I don't like it.
That's a lot of pressure.
That's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of fabrication.
For me to be everything to my significant other. There are going to be some things that I can't stand doing. You know what I'm saying? And she may have a friend, whether it be a male or a female, that really likes that. She may be a straight up Star Trek geek, like a Trekkie, and I can't stand Star Trek. But if they're having a Star Trek convention, I don't want to go, but she wants to go. And if her friend, you know, is a Trekkie too, why not? Like, I don't feel anyway self-conscious about that or jealous about that.
The thing is that in our field, let's talk about our field, okay, because this is who we are. So our field is being therapists. I feel like our job as colleagues is to support one another because we are in the business of keeping positive mental health. Is that what I'm saying? Defining friendship is important. Yes, it is. Absolutely. So we are in the business of, you know, having wellness and keeping our mental health at a certain level. So when we as human beings see a fellow human being struggling, we jump to want to help fix the issue. We want to help them to process. Is that not what we do? We step into each other's office and we're like, okay, so what is going on? What do we need to discuss? Oh, I'm like, look, somebody's perpetrating as us as the oh, you typed that. Okay.
No, that was me.
As you were. So anyway, basically, we want to run to each other's aid and try to help each other out, you know. And we also know that we have the ability to understand these things about each other. No matter who I'm dating, I have never dated a fellow therapist where I've known him on an intimate level while we were dating, right? So I've always had intimate friendships with male therapists who are my friends. I have never questioned those, thought about cutting them out or anything. I need them. First of all, you need friends that are therapists. Number two, it's a wonderful thing to have to be able to call 8 therapists. You can choose. Well, you can choose. Absolutely. Because those are your friends, your colleagues, your past supervisors who you've confided in when things went wrong. And they're either male or female. So I feel like professionally, we're actually in a realm where we're not forced, but we're engulfed in a life when we go to work of depending on our male-female counterparts intimately.
Right. And the thing as far as like with work, just historically, just looking at it from where men and women came from, you know, initially or back in the day, you know, men primarily left the home, worked with other men. The women stayed in the house, took care of the house. So there was hardly any interaction between men and women, you know, at the workplace. So as that increased, then you started seeing more workplace romantic relationships because, you know, you're there most of the time. But initially, everything was separated. So the only way that they looked at it, or if they saw a man and a woman together, they're in a romantic relationship because there's no other place for you to engage with the opposite sex because you're not at work working with a person of the opposite sex. It's primarily off work,
It's so funny.
in the home. So just looking at it from that standpoint, and now, of course we have women at work, of course. So your interaction and your relationships are going to be either a man or a woman.
Okay.
It's only two types of freaking genders.
Let me ask this question.
Yeah, go ahead.
At what point in a relationship, when you're with a woman, do you start to get uncomfortable with her platonic male relationships and friendships?
Say that one more time.
At what point, when you're in a committed relationship with a woman, whether married or just dating someone, right? When you have a woman in your life who you're committed to, or whatever, on some level of commitment and intimacy,
Right.
At what point do you start to become threatened or concerned with the idea of her platonic male friends? Honestly speaking, at what level would you be concerned?
Honestly speaking, just basing off of going back to what we were talking about previously last week, I think maybe just in the love language. If one of my big things is quality time, and the quality time is being spent elsewhere, and you're finding it more enjoyment over there with that platonic friend, and you're shading me of my time and my affection and my physical touch and all that, then yeah, that's a problem. But if she says like, okay, well, this week we're going here, next week we're going here, and it's just one of those things, like, hey, do you?
Okay, so your issue becomes when it impedes on you receiving what is your primary love language.
Right.
Oh, then it hits you a different way.
When we're not progressing as a couple together, then that's when it's a problem. And it's not necessarily always the other person, that platonic friend.
Okay.
But it's my significant other that I have the issue with.
So since you brought that up, because we're talking about it, we need to list the love languages so that the viewers know where they can start with this. Because I think self-awareness of your love language would help with this.
And we talked about that.
I want to list them. Quality time. Words of affirmation.
Physical touch.
Service.
Gifts of service. Words of affirmation.
Is that all 5?
Yeah.
Okay. So Damien's saying
those?
when he... Am I going to type them? You
I'll
were doing so well on the computer. So, yeah, you do that. I'll entertain our guest. So, basically, what I'm saying is that as a recap of Damien's statement, when he recognizes that his primary love language is not being met or being divided to where he's not receiving what he majorly needs, he begins to look at where it's being spent. And then the issue comes from there. Now, somebody like me, I believe I am driven by multiple love languages. I like
think we are
them
all.
Well, I can't say which one is my absolute favorite, but quality time is very important to me.
Right.
Quality time actually includes communication for me. And when I'm not effectively communicating with someone, that's when I get concerned, right? Or there's a rift in communication. That has been there for a long period of time or extensive period of time, I begin to look at why has this changed or why has it shifted and who is that person communicating it with if it's not me.
So, do you feel, if that does happen, do you feel, one, and this is just my personal opinion, guys, if they're that close and they're in close quarters, I want to meet them. I want to vibe them out. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's a guy. Because I don't trust too many people. I just don't.
You say, do I agree with you wanting to meet? Like,
do you feel like that's important? If this person is important to you, and we're in an intimate relationship, intimate meaning love and all that, not necessarily just sex, but just that deep level. Yeah. I think we all should.
No, I think it's important, and I've done introductions, and I don't have any issue with that. I mean, I tried to do a lot of that early on, because I'm going to be talking about these people all the time.
Right.
I talk a lot. I like to hang out with my friends. I'm not compromising my friends for relationships. I've done that in the past.
Let's talk about that.
I'm just saying, I've compromised my friends and my friendships. For relationships, I have stopped hanging out with friends because of discomfort of the person I was with when the friends have done nothing wrong.
Right.
I'm not gonna do that again. That was in my younger years. I'm not doing that. If you come into my life, you just need to accept who's in my life, because more importantly, they'll be here when you're gone.
Right.
I'm just saying.
So that definitely brings me to my next point in regards to being able to balance that. Being able to balance, okay, if my partner says, okay, like you have a lot of male friends, Jackie, and I don't feel comfortable. I've been in relationships where I've been cheated on before, so you having a lot of male friends, it puts me in a space where I don't want to be. And for us to make it, I need to be confident in our relationship. And one thing that'll help me with my confidence in the relationship is that you kind of minimize or reduce some of the time that you're spending with your friends. How would you respond to something like that?
Okay, well, I have to put it in perspective to who I am.
That's the only way that you can do it.
Okay, the comment is you want me to reduce the amount of time I spend with my male friends.
Right, like you
I only see them almost once a week as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So the way my situation is right now, I don't know how I could reduce that. I see them once a week. I'm with my boyfriend more than that. Mm-hmm. So he gets his time. I have time with my friends. And we've actually had these discussions where the consensus is, I want you to have your friends. I like to have mine. I've met your friends. He's met almost all of mine. There's a few more to meet, but he knows that's open. So I would say that if that needed to be reduced at this point, it's not about me and my male friends. It's about you and your insecurities.
Absolutely.
And so at some point, women and men in relationships need to stop compromising who they are and their lives.
You seen that? There was a Nina Simone video. She did an interview.
I know. I just saw it a couple days ago.
And it said, no, that was Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt. She was
for
compromise.
What? Compromise for what?
For what?
For what? Wait, you have to put that's Eartha Kitt.
I mean, she does it better. I don't know.
He said, wouldn't you compromise to be in a relationship? And she said, huh.
Yeah, like
compromise for what?
That person should love you for you, the things that they like about you, the things that they love about you, the things that they don't like or love about you. You determine whether you can deal with that or not. I'm
okay with the friendships. Sometimes, if we're talking about the female friends are in the house every time I come over or stuff like that, that's a different type of situation for me. Yeah. The theory of female friends doesn't bother me. Okay? That doesn't bother me. But I do agree with you that when your love language is not being met, you're not seeing the fruition of that. You're kind of wondering, hey, where's that being met? Where's that being met? And so...
because there's a void there.
Yeah, there becomes a void, and then that's when levels of friendships can change. Levels of friendships that have been the same for 5 years can change to intimacy all of a sudden when they weren't intimate. They were casual. Now they're intimate because you have a void that needs to be met.
So do you think it was always there, but it was just, I guess, maybe put over there in a box somewhere?
Look, let me say this. I think there's a potential anywhere for men to start sleeping with their friends and women to start sleeping with their men. There's potential anywhere for that. There's also potential for the friendships to grow beyond the second and third level at any point. Mm-hmm. I have to be realistic. Right. Life situations can do that to you. Life traumas, things that you share in common, and ways people are there to support you can pull them away from their current spouses, can pull them away from their families and have them leaning on you in a way that they weren't seeing you before. Mm. And that's how you find a lot of couples wind up splitting, and then the ex-husband marries the best friend of the wife and stuff like that, because there are voids that have come across. They were all friends, right? Hanging out. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot, actually. In therapy, people telling me, stories about how they have exes who wind up marrying their friends and having children.
I actually had one today.
We got something in common.
Yeah, I had one of those today.
Really?
She's dating her...
I'm telling you, that's easy. It can easily happen.
Her ex-boyfriend's best friend.
I think there's potential for anything to happen.
That's kind of messy.
You can wind up sleeping with your friends just as easily as your partner can wind up cheating on you while you're in a committed relationship with somebody they just met. I mean, you just got to be aware, have communication that's consistent across the board so you can stay knowledgeable of where your partner is. Does that make sense? I think it's.
I mean, it makes
it's about
sense
being
to a
knowledgeable and
point, but at the
communicating.
same time, I wouldn't be in a relationship just to keep tabs on you to know what you're doing.
No, I don't want to be in that type of relationship.
At the end of the day, and I say this all the time, it's 24 hours in a day. So if you're gonna do something, you'll find a way to do it. It don't take much for most people to have sex. 30 minutes to an hour out of 24 hours is nothing. You see what I'm saying? So if you really want to do something, it's going to get done if you're motivated to do it. What y'all think? What's up, Slim? What's going on? I see you checking in. What's up, Honey B is in the building.
Oh, she's
How
late.
are you? How are you?
Okay.
So we're again, for everybody that's pulling in, we're talking about relationships. Can men and women have platonic relationships?
And now we're talking about emotional voids being filled by potential friendships from the opposite sex who were at a certain level of casual friendship and intimacy,
Right.
but how they can excel to other levels and climb the ladder of intimacy depending on what void you're having in your current relationship. Let's be clear, when you have a male friend and you feel like you can't talk to your boyfriend, you're going to start talking to your male friend more. It doesn't mean you want to sleep with your male friend. If you thrive on communication and that is something that is important to you,
Right.
you're going to communicate with somebody. Sometimes you just want a male point of view. Sometimes you want to talk to a more calm individual. You don't want to get on the phone with your hysterical girlfriends all
Right.
the time.
Right.
If your boyfriend is not available, you may talk to one of your male friends. You may call them up more than you used to. And men do the same thing with women. I've seen it all the time.
Yeah.
Arguing with their girlfriends, they may call me more, my male
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
And if anything, maybe just to talk about the fact that they can't talk to their girlfriends.
Right. Absolutely.
But they need to hear a female voice and opinion,
Right.
and they want that interaction. Male on male interaction is not the same.
In most situations, I think men benefit from having those cross type of relationships with women, because one, y'all are a little bit more complex than we are. So trying to understand you guys and get different perspectives, sometimes it requires.
You think women are more complex?
Than
Or that
guys?
we outwardly express it more?
No, in relation to guys?
Some men are emotionally complex. However, we don't discover it until we're in the committed relationship and they start
Well, that means
tripping.
you didn't vet.
I'm just saying, men are complex
you
too.
didn't vet appropriately.
Men are complex too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that we are not, but
I think you're taught not to be.
just from a generalization, which we talked about that as well, and bias and stereotypes. More often than not, guys come to me, just in my experience, trying to understand. Or women come to me trying to understand us just as much as a guy will come to me trying to figure out his woman.
Okay, and the women come to me wanting to bend for their relationships. Feeling like they're not giving enough.
Bend?
Feeling like they want to bend. Yeah.
They want to bend? They're not giving enough? That may be the problem, because
I'm
they
not
ain't giving
talking
them
about
enough.
sex.
They might not
This
be
is so
giving enough.
uncomfortable.
That may be the problem. That's the problem.
That's not what I'm talking about. You know what I mean. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Oh my God.
Okay. So, hey, Marissa. Yeah, so women are coming to me feeling like they are bending for their relationships. They've had babies. They're emotionally distressed and they have to compromise everything for their relationships and this, that. And a lot of the women that are coming to me about these issues with the voids, they're feeling like the man has the good end of the deal. And so this is where I see the women have voids that the husbands are not filling, and it's not intentional, and it's not that they look for sexual gratification. There's a level of intimacy that is missing in a lot of these relationships, and the women don't know how to pull that back from the men. It doesn't have to just have to do with babies.
Right.
Sometimes when people are in marriages 2 or 3 years, the level of intimacy has changed. And so a lot of people don't know how to shift it back, and this is where sometimes people depend on more friendships. And this is how you wind up talking to your male friends more than your husband.
But then, I mean, like we said previously, establishing those boundaries, just within your own relationship, understanding what the boundaries are, which is a bad word because that's like every time